business technology. Your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
And a very pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome into game night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Scott Marsh, high flyer, will be with us momentarily as we get you ready for the Kings and Grizz tonight. It's a short 2-game trip for Sacramento. They take on a very good Memphis team, which has been very competitive in the Western Conference. Of course, Ja Morant back. They're a lot healthier than they were a year ago, and it's showing up in their record. We'll get into that throughout the next hour as well. And then the back-to-back as they take on San Antonio tomorrow night. Kings, of course, 0-2 against the Spurs, but Wemby is out tonight with a back, so who knows how that might affect the game tomorrow night, but that doesn't matter right now. The Kings have to take on a very good Grizzlies team. As we said, currently 14-8. They are tied for third place in the Western Conference. Kings coming in with the big win on Tuesday night against the Rockets as they improved to 10-12 on the year. And it was great to see Sacramento score some points, get out and run 120 on the night. They shot the 3-ball well, nearly 50%, 14 of 30 on the night. We had a Kevin Huerter signing off the bench. He was good. He had 3 3-pointers, 13 points. Keegan Murray contributed. I mean, they weren't huge numbers for Sacramento. I mean, Keegan only had 13 points, 7 rebounds. But boy, in comparison to what we have been getting from the overall roster from Sacramento, it felt like this was the Kings roster that Monty McNair anticipated having at the beginning of the year in terms of full participation. And that was good to see because the Rockets are a good team. The Kings did a nice job against them, limiting them to 44% shooting, just 36% from the arc, and did a pretty good defensive job on them. Henry and I will be with you until 4:30 today. If you want to join us, you certainly can. Give us a call, 916-339-1140. Anthony will be answering the phone calls. He's behind the board today as well. We're also up and running in our YouTube chat today, so feel free to join us there. We'd love to have the conversation going. We'll be talking there during the breaks as well. And you can, of course, text us too. Same phone number, 916-339-1140. We'll get the job done on that. But yes, in terms of Tuesday, it's only one game. So again, we can't get overexcited about it, but to me, this was kind of the blueprint. And Mike Brown, if you've been listening to him, he laid down the gauntlet with this Kings team. He was absolutely upset on Friday night after that loss against the Blazers. I happened to be at that game. I was in Portland on that trip. I went into the post-game locker room. It was myself and Kyle Draper who were there. We were the only 2 local Sacramento media members there after the game. And Mike Brown, he let it fly. He likes to use the term "let it fly." He let it fly on his team on Friday night. He was very disappointed with the effort. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that sound by now. We've played it here many times, but basically saying, he puts together scouting reports every night. They're not being followed. They're leaking out, not rebounding the basketball. Too many scores, not enough people wanting to play defense. I mean, he laid it out on that Sacramento team. And I think what we saw on Tuesday night, again, was kind of the more well-rounded roster. We're talking about what's this roster going to look like for the Kings. Well, what we saw on Tuesday night was the roster that the Kings expect to have on a regular basis. You bring in DeRozan. He's your 3-point assassin, getting it done from the mid-range. Obviously, you're led by Sabonis and his 27 points. De'Aaron, who's having his great year. You put Monk into the starting lineup, so we see that in display and how that combination works. And you've got Keegan. So you've got your best starting 5 on the floor to start the games. And we saw, especially against San Antonio with that 42-point first quarter, what that could mean for the team. Obviously, it depletes you on defense a little bit, and that's not a good thing. And it depletes you in terms of your bench. But the big-time starts are important for Sacramento. Malik Monk has earned a starting role. So now off the bench, you bring Kevin Huerter. And what you need Kevin Huerter to be is the version of Kevin Huerter that he was during the 22-23 season with the Kings, not what he was last year when he was injured and just never got off to a good start for the team. But if he can come off the bench, he can be truly your 6th man. He can be the microwave. He can be the one who hits from outside. If he can give you 3 3-pointers a night off the bench, you can certainly live with that. Obviously, Isaac Jones has been a great find for the Kings. What a burst of energy Isaac Jones has been for Sacramento. He is that big body. He's the athletic guy. He's the guy who can run the floor. How many times did he beat the Rockets down the floor on Tuesday night? We saw that Sunday against San Antonio too. He was 5 of 5 from the field. He's taking nothing but shots right around the rim. Great activity, great moments for Isaac Jones, and he's part of that rotation now for sure. When you get Trey Lyles back, he'll add some extra depth to that roster. And of course, he's still trying to get back in form from where he was last year. His season got off to a slow start here. As we know, he didn't play in the preseason, hasn't put it all together yet, but we know what the possibilities are for a Trey Lyles. Getting Jay Crowder, a veteran, a guy who's been in the league. He's been on 11 consecutive playoff teams. He's been to 2 NBA championships. He's a guy who can contribute. We know that. We saw what he did in Minnesota, his first night in, playing over 25 minutes as the Kings got that win. Didn't do a lot Tuesday night against Houston. That's not the point, though. He'll set that mentality in the locker room. That is big for the Sacramento team. And then you have Keon Ellis, who can contribute, that we know as well. So that's the 9 players that the Kings are looking for. And then Jordan McLaughlin can give you a few minutes occasionally off the bench as well, another veteran player. So that's how this roster is constructed. The question I throw out there, and the question that Henry and I have been talking about a ton on game night throughout the last 3 weeks, is the roster as constructed, is it good enough to compete in the Western Conference? Is it good enough to get a playoff spot? Is it good enough to be in the top 6? Is it good enough to be a play-in team? I mean, those are the questions that are being asked right now inside the Kings facility, and those are fair questions for us to ask as well. You look at it in the Western Conference, it is wide open right now. There's no doubt about that. The Kings, as it stands right now at 10-12, I mean, they're on the outside looking in, but it's early in the year. We're a quarter of the way through the season. If things were to end today, they'd be 10-12 overall, which isn't good enough. We know that, but they're only 2 games back in the loss column of the Lakers, Spurs, Timberwolves. They're 4 games back of the Nuggets, who are currently in the 8th spot at 11-8. So can the Kings, with the current roster, if it gets all the depth, if they give the A game like we saw on Tuesday night, where they get something from every starter, they get some bench play from Herter, you get something out of Trey Lyles when he comes back, Isaac Jones continues to impress, you have Jay Crowder there and Keon Ellis, is that 10 in Jordan McLaughlin? Is that a good enough, well-rounded enough Sacramento Kings lineup to get the job done for Sacramento? Because as we know, I mean, being in the playoffs a couple of years ago and then not making it last year, to lose in the play-in game to the Pelicans, I mean, this team is built for the playoffs. And so, will Devin Carter, when he comes back in January, will that help enough? Are the Kings going to be looking to make a move in February? What is the timeline on this Kings roster? We'd love to hear from you on that as well. Some other highlights from that Kings game on Tuesday night. The pace was much better for Sacramento in that game too. They're getting out and running, and that is something that obviously Malik Monk, when he's on the floor, is setting that tone, which is helpful. And Malik's passing game has been second to none. We know how good he is with Sabonis in the pick and roll, in the lob game. That's great. But just overall, what Monk has done to have 12 assists and no turnovers in that game against the Rockets, that might be the best stat line of the year for the Kings. 12 assists, no turnovers from Malik Monk. He's been tremendous. And obviously him and De'Aaron have a lot of great chemistry. No doubt about that. So that all worked out. But again, one game does not make a season. We know that. And it is a tough, quick road trip for Sacramento. We've got the Grizz tonight, San Antonio tomorrow, before coming back home to take on Utah. The High Flyers in the house. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get to more right here. It's Game Night. It's brought to you by Power Business Technology. Experience for yourself how the Power family can help you with all your business copier needs. Give them a call today, 1-844-POWER-BZ, or go to powercopiers.com. More of Game Night right here. Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube.
All right,
and watch
we
the
are
Carmichael
live
Dave
on
Show with
YouTube.
Jason
Anthony,
Ross,
how are
Styles
you?
and
I'm doing
Watkins,
great.
and
How
the
are you
Drive
guys?
Guys.
I'm good. Did
Live
Kyle
Monday
show
through
you all
Friday
the
from
tricks
6
there
to
to
6,
put us
plus
up?
new archive shows and
Yes,
exclusive content.
but I messed up slightly just then, but I just got it fixed.
I just wanted to see about that.
Oh, thank you.
What was
Good
the mess
times.
up, just so we know?
I did not take you guys off program for half a second while the ad was playing, so they heard that.
They heard a little
They heard a little bit.
Okay.
Just teasing that we're on YouTube.
Hey, if that's the worst problem we have today, my friend, we're in pretty good shape. High Flyer, how are you?
I'm heated, bro.
Heated.
I'm heated.
Oh no, what's going on?
Man, it took me 20 minutes to get from what and how to here. 20 minutes.
Or visit us at
Welcome to Sacramento afternoon traffic, my
I'm
man.
like, man, what's going on?
I know.
It ain't even Friday yet.
I know it. I know it. It's not easy to get around our capital city on a 3:30 in the afternoon.
You know what? Sacramento is
on either side.
It is.
I mean, it is.
And
now
the
during our
infrastructure is
Cyber
not
sale,
growing.
save 20%
And
on
that's
most
the
speed
problem.
cover smart beds.
And
Plus
that's
free
the
home
problem.
delivery
A
with
lot
any
of people are
base.
coming up here.
Limited time.
We're getting a lot
All
of
Sleep
people
Number smart
migrating
beds
from the
offer temperature
Bay,
solutions
and
for your best
it
sleep.
is.
To find a
I mean,
store
the
near you,
traffic is terrible.
sleepnumber.com.
It is. It's tough, and like I'm used to driving a lot of LA
No
traffic.
two people
and
learn
I
the
won't say
exact same
Sacramento
way.
traffic is
So how
LA
did Babel
traffic
become the
because that would
award-winning
be
language
Not
learning
even
app?
close.
that would be a lie.
Oh,
But
take Sierra.
at times
As a
when I'm
visual learner,
sitting
she uses
on the Cap
Babel's
City
word
freeway,
pictures.
I feel like I'm on the
No.
405.
Let me tell you
Keith
something.
is a be in the room with
There's
real people
nothing.
kind
I
of
remember
learner.
one
So he
night,
loves the live online classes.
me and
with our
LaSalle
language
Thompson
experts.
hanging out,
Okay,
and this is no joke, Scott. It had to be about
However you
11,
learn, Babel makes it
15,
easy. Try
at
Babel for
night.
free at Babel.com.
and it was bumper
BABBEL.com.
to bumper on the 405. And I'm looking at LaSalle like, bro, come on, man. What is this?
Exactly. What's going on?
Nobody's at home. Nobody left. Quit work and went home.
Exactly.
Too many
It's
little,
unbelievable, but it's
especially
great
boys,
this time
are
of
still
year because
waiting
it
for
looks like a
volunteer
candy
big brothers.
cane, right?
Volunteers
Because if
to
you're
spend
going
at
one
least 4 to
direction,
6
all you
hours
see
a
is the
month
back
with
red
local
lights.
youth who
And
needs
if you're
guidance
looking in
and
the other
support.
direction,
Donate your time
probably
to Big
going
Brothers and Big
north,
Sisters
you're
of the
looking at
greater
nothing but the
Sacramento
white
area.
lights
Get
and
involved.
the
It's
headlights,
easy
right?
as a
So
layup.
it's the red and
Call
white looks good this time of year as long as you're not on that freeway.
9300.
Okay.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Come on,
Yeah,
I'm
there
right
are so many football games streaming this season. Can Xfinity Internet
Just
handle
one
it?
man's opinion.
Oh, we know the game
Let's see
is
here.
only
We've
live
got the
once.
YouTube
So we
up
built a
and
network
running
with all
here.
pro
We
speeds
will
and low
obviously
lag,
go
so
over
you
the
don't miss
game
a
when we
snap.
come back.
So
but,
I can yell, he's open! When
you know,
he's actually
Let me
open?
bring this up.
yeah, go for it.
Because you know I'm listening to you on the way in.
Yes.
You made
Switch
one
to Xfinity, internet
hell
and
of a
TV,
statement.
and
I
enjoy
thought
instant
about it
access
for a
to your
minute. I'm
favorite
like,
live sports with the Xfinity
You said
Stream app. Actual speeds
Kevin
vary, not
Herter
guaranteed. Streaming
gave us some
content limited to
numbers.
the U.S.
Yes.
Programming subject to change.
He came off the bench. It wasn't what we were used to seeing from him in the starting lineup. But the numbers that he gave us coming off the bench was good for coming off the bench.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking, well, maybe he should have been on the bench already.
Yeah.
Because the numbers that we expect for him to give us in that starting lineup, he's been coming up short, right?
No doubt.
But the number he's able to give us, let's say, for example, if you starting, we expect that starting two guard to give you 14 plus.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you're coming off the bench, we expect that bench guy to give you anywhere between 8 and 12. That's a good night for you.
We'll take it. If you can hit 3 threes on a regular basis off the bench, that's fantastic.
Like I said, anywhere from 8 points to 12 points, that's good for a guy coming off the bench. Maybe I'm telling you, we've talked about it so many times. Putting Malik Monk in the starting lineup works.
All right. Welcome back into game night right here, Sacktown Sports, 1140. Scott Marshall on with the high flyer, Henry Turner. Anthony back running the controls. He's got Kyle there as well. You know, for Anthony, it's his first game night where we're in studio and we're doing the chat. There's a lot of stuff going on. There are a lot of moving pieces. So if you hear us during the breaks, that's why.
You know
it's all
what?
good.
Hey, brother, man, got to work for that check, man.
Hey, man, he works hard.
I mean, we just ain't paying cash for nothing. You got to work for this.
Yes, he is working hard. I also heard that we couldn't be heard during the chat situation too. So we'll check that out for the next break. But it's all good here. Henry, it's great to have you here.
Mm-hmm.
What I was throwing out there, and I appreciate because you were hearing it as you were coming in, is my basic question. Obviously, Kings played great on Tuesday night, and they beat a good Rockets team.
Very good Rockets team.
And we'll celebrate that. One game does not make a season.
No.
But the question I want to know, this version of the Kings with Malik in the starting lineup doing what he did, 12 assists, no turnovers. You get something out of Keegan. He had 3 3-pointers, feeling it a little bit offensively. You get Herter off the bench. He contributed 3 threes, had 13 points. Isaac Jones has been the upstart off this bench. We talked about in the preseason, the upside for him. Obviously, Mike Brown, the coaching staff, seen that too. He was fantastic. You have Jay Crowder now. You have a Jordan McLaughlin who can spell at the point if you have to. You've got a Keon Ellis off the bench who we know can contribute. And then you get Trey Lyles back. I mean, those are your 11 guys, okay, in some shape or form. They're not all going to play every night. But let's just say we saw the A minus version of the Kings on Tuesday night, and they beat a good Rockets team.
Right.
Is this roster, when they're playing this A game, okay, A minus game, if they're playing up to their standard that Mike Brown set and said, this is what we have to do consistently. We have to communicate. We have to play for each other. We have to be competitive, right? If they play to that standard with this roster, is this roster as it stands at 10-12, currently sitting 12th in the Western Conference, is it good enough to be a play-in or even a playoff team?
I'm going to give you an A and a B to that, Scott.
Okay.
The A is, okay, they moved Malik to the starting lineup, right? Took Kevin Huerter to the bench. Now, what you have in your starting five, you have guys who are going to give you numbers. We know our big three, they have been very consistent. They're going to give you what you're going to give you, and that's good for those three. We have just been questioning the two, Kevin Huerter and Keegan. Okay, insert Malik Monk. Malik Monk helps everybody else on that roster score. He facilitates better than any guard that we've got on our roster.
He's the best passer on the team.
Best passer on the team. So, okay, now Keegan's going to get maybe 4 more points out of that. All right. Now, he's the only one that we're worried about. Because Malik's going to get his points. Now, you got enough in your starting five to where you don't have to have a Herculean effort coming off the bench like we was waiting on with Malik. Right? So now, if Kevin Huerter gives you 12, that's great. If Isaac can come in and give you 8 to 10, that's great. Everybody give you a number. Nobody has to have a Herculean night for you to be competitive. Now, to get what you're saying, this roster, what we've seen for these last 2 games, how it's constructed, the Kings have enough to be competitive. No doubt. You don't have to ask nothing Herculean from anyone. Our top 3 do exactly what you've been doing. Malik Monk, you're in the starting lineup, do exactly what you've been doing. You're helping out Keegan. Keegan's going to give you anywhere between 10 and 16. That's great. Starting 5 have done their job. Kevin Huerter, you coming off the bench. You don't have to be Herculean, bro. Take the pressure off. All right. Now you can concentrate, knock down a couple of threes, Trey Lyles and whoever else comes along. You just play your game. You don't need nothing special. Can this team be progressive and get out there and compete? Yes. Championship bound, couple players from it. And I'm going to say straight to the playoffs, still a couple players from it, but can we be competitive? I would say from 6th, 7th on down to like 9th or 10th, easily.
Now, obviously, there's a huge difference between 6 and 7 because 6 is playoff, 6 is play-in, but it's going to be so close. You're talking about shades at that point.
But that 6th spot, Kings going to have to play lights-out basketball because we've dropped so many early on. They're going to have to really get on a roll. But, they can squeeze in that 7th spot if they start playing competitive basketball, no doubt.
No doubt. And we saw their best version. And I think the thing that we can all agree in, Malik Monk is not going anywhere. He is etched in that starting 5 from here on out.
I mean, how long have I been crying?
I know. How long has Sacramento been crying?
How long have I been crying?
I know. Free Malik.
And like I said, I've understood the magnitude of bringing Malik off the bench because you knew you had something. But the thing, Scott, is that you had to get a Herculean effort out of Malik off the bench 9 times out of 10, or let's say 8 times out of 10 this year. You needed Malik to come in and give you 20. Well, Malik's starting now, and if Malik can help the other guys facilitate, help other guys get points, now the guys coming off the bench don't have to give you 20. They can give you 8, 10, and 12, which is a comfortable number now, and it all can come together.
And here's the thing, too. We've talked about a ton that it doesn't necessarily matter who starts, it's who finishes. We've made that point before over the years. But I think the one thing that, needs to be said also is that whoever starts the game, they set the tone for the game. Right now with
True.
Malik starting, we're seeing the Kings playing with a pace that we've wanted them to see that is now continuing throughout the game.
Scott, you hitting the nail right on the head with that one, my brother, because it is true. He starts the game. He sets the tone.
Right.
Now, everybody else gets on that exact same tone. You don't have to now go to the bench and say, Malik, come in and change the tone of the game.
Yeah.
The tone is already set. I like that one. Ooh, you was on time with that one, Scooter.
You know what? I've been thinking of this stuff. I've been ready for this show.
Ding, ding, ding.
I've got my A game ready to go.
I'm going to give you a point for that one.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That makes me feel good. You know, that's a good thing. When I get praise from the high flyer, you know, you're doing something right.
That's right on time. You don't have to get ready. You stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
You start the game the way you're going to finish the game. That means you ain't got to change the game during the course of it.
No doubt. And talk about just filling a role. That's all Isaac Jones is doing right now. He's in there. He's bodying up. He's outrunning people. He might be making some mistakes, but they're all out of hustle and effort. He is the player that the Kings have been lacking. He's there.
You know, Scooter, I've been around this organization for a very long time, and I've seen a lot of players come and a lot of players go. You know who Isaac Jones remind me of? Not his game, but just what he's doing and how he's going about his way. Michael the Animal Smith.
I was thinking the same thing.
Michael the Animal Smith. Yep. When Michael came here, he wasn't the darling. He was just a guy that, you know, basically had a jersey because Brian Grant was our rookie.
Yep.
He was our darling.
Yeah, he was the Keegan Murray.
Right. He was our darling. He was the Keegan Murray. And Michael the Animal Smith didn't do nothing but hustle and bust his butt.
Yep.
And when he got his time, boy, did he show out.
No doubt. I'm going to give you that point back because that's exactly what I was thinking of when I was trying to think of who is Isaac Jones a comparison to, because certainly the effort, the intensity far outweighs any youthful mistakes he's making.
The energy that he brings, no doubt. You mentioned it. You said the dude got 2 buckets straight back to back just by outrunning. Yep. Okay. It don't take no talent to run. Just straight outrun your guy, get to the basket. They found him. He got 2 dunks just off of that alone. Yep. And, you know, those are the type of things that you have to bring. If you're a guy that's on the bubble, you're on the bubble, and you're trying to bring something to the team that's not already there. I've been in that spot, Scott. I know exactly what it is. Yep. I know how I got my minutes. I had to come in, bust my butt on defense, and the points that I got off getting steals and tips and got out in transition.
Yep, and to the point when players see him doing that, it energizes everybody else to do the same thing.
It energizes everybody else. You see that, you know, he's an energy guy. You know, when you hear coaches say that, you know, he's an energy guy, he's got a high motor, that's exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so it was a good night for the Kings. As we said, it's one game, but it's against a good Houston team. 10-12 now. They've got to go out and take on a very good Memphis team. Mm-hmm. And we've talked a lot about Memphis. Last year was a disaster for them. It started with all the injuries and, of course, Ja Morant and the 25-game suspension and all his off-the-court antics. Well, Memphis has got it back together again. They're healthy. Ja Morant has got his act together. In fact, he's even talking about now not wanting to dunk the basketball because he doesn't want to risk injury. And that's a shame in a respect from a fan because we'd love to see what Ja Morant does above the rim. But it tells you that he's got his mind in the right place right now.
And, you know, Scott, when you're a dunker, and that was my game, when you're a dunker, you do understand that dunking the basketball, there's a good chance you're going to hurt your wrists. Yeah. You're going to sprain fingers. You know, it's a part of the game.
Yeah,
it's a part of the game, but you do risk injury. So, you know, when you put it this way, when you in fast break and you have a regular layup, that's when you dare and go up and soft dunk. Okay.
Yeah.
You go up and you soft dunk that thing. You don't wind it up and try to tear the rim down. I save that for when I got to go in there and try to go up against a body or something to show the referees you're going hard. But just dunking the basketball, nah, I lay it up. I lay it up and come right back and play.
No, it's being smart. And obviously the fans, that's what's made Ja Morant one of the league favorites, right? I mean, he could still be one of the faces of the league, assuming he keeps everything together right there with the Ant-Man. It'll be interesting to see if we don't see those highlights that we're used to where that puts it in. But right now he's averaging 22 points a game, 8.5 assists, 47% from the field. He is doing everything the Grizz need him to.
His game is still electric.
Yep.
I watched one game to where he came down, shook a guy up, went to the middle, and he didn't dunk it, but he 360 laid it off the glass. And I was like, ooh, I haven't seen that in a long time. So, being aggressive, going out playing hard, it really don't have nothing to do with you, really dunking the ball all the time, which, that has really gave him his calling card because he didn't dunk those fellas. Ooh, he has thrown that thing down, but he understands now it's a bigger picture.
Yeah.
You are trying to play the long game. You want to make the playoffs. You want to make it through the playoffs. You want to try to come out of the West. And in order for this team to do that, he's going to have to be at his best.
No doubt. And they've got a very young team, and it includes Jalen Wells, who's from Sacramento, played at Folsom High School. He was named the Western Conference Rookie of the Month for October and November. That's pretty cool.
It is.
It's really cool.
You know what? You always root for homegrown guys.
Yeah.
Whenever you see them in the NBA or wherever you see them anywhere to where, they're doing something out there positive, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, golf, whatever it is. When you're a local guy, you see the guy doing his thing, you always root for him.
You do. All right. We've got to go to break. I think we've got everything ready to go this time around. Anthony's giving me the high five. We gave him the mulligan in the first break. Anthony does great work. We're going to test him here. See if we've got everything going in the YouTube chat.
You're being graded, Anthony.
You're on the clock now, Anthony. Just kidding. All right. Game Night's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Check out their full line of luxury vehicles at mbfstockton.com. When we come back, we're going to go around the league. We'll get you caught up on all the other news and notes going on. We'll get you caught up on the schedule for tonight. And, of course, we'll continue to break down the Kings and the Grizz. 2 quick games. It's Memphis tonight, San Antonio tomorrow before the Kings come back home to take on Utah on Sunday. Game night right here, Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Now we are live on YouTube, and if this is still messed up, I give everyone permission to yell at me in the YouTube chat. But I believe this is correct.
Should we speak or should we not?
No, this is good. Everything's off over here.
Okay.
Kyle has
on
told
the
me
air,
exactly
we're
how to do
running,
it.
life
Yep.
is good. Okay.
Everything's great.
Okay, good. It's not easy. So, you know what? To pull it off in the second break is pretty good work, Anthony. All right. Let's see here. What do we want to talk about here? Anything going on in the chat that we want to mention? Anthony, anything in our chat room right
nope,
now?
they're
really?
just
people are just watching.
Yeah, they're just watching,
Okay.
and YouTube is live. They're confirming that I didn't mess up, so that's great.
Good job. We appreciate that. All right. A couple things that we'll bring up in the chat here as we kind of look around, for the Grizz. We'll get into it more in the injury report, but Jaren Jackson is fine, but Gigi Jackson's going to be back in 6 to 8 weeks. If you'll remember, High Flyer, he was their rookie who came, like when they had all the injuries, came up from the G League, was so good. He'll be back in the next 6 to 8 weeks. He had the broken right foot. So I'm interested to see him. But, the Grizz, it's a team that you've liked. It's a team that you thought was good enough last year to be in the Western Conference Finals if they were healthy, which they weren't. But do you think this year, with them back to being who they were a year ago, are they good enough to get to the Western Conference Finals this year?
I think they're sneakily good. Nobody has really gotten them on their radar because there's so many other teams that's playing good basketball. But, like you said, they have spun the block and they have got the band back together.
Yeah.
Everybody except Steven Adams, but they get a young rookie that can pretty much give them what Steven gave them.
Yeah.
So they really have their core back to when they were fighting for that number 1, number 2 spot. So can they get back there? I definitely think they can if they can, keep everybody on the floor at the same time.
Yeah. And speaking of Steven Adams, I was surprised how little he was used Tuesday night. I mean, he's the Kings killer. The Rockets really haven't used him that much. He was pretty much non-existent on the floor. He was goose egg the game before. The Rockets are a team that want to get out and run. It's almost like Steven Adams is out of water.
Yes.
On that team.
Yes, he really doesn't fit on that team.
Would he fit in Sacramento?
No.
Okay.
No. You know where he would fit perfect at?
Where?
Philly.
back up to Embiid.
Yep.
Or he might start with Embiid the way that's going right now. Yeah.
He would be a perfect guy to be in Philly.
Yeah. And he's got value. We know that.
Oh, no doubt.
There's no question that we know what he can do. I mean, he's kind of like a Valanciunas. He doesn't have as much all-around game as Valanciunas does, but what he does well, he does extremely well, and that's rebound the basketball.
Rebound the basketball and guard the middle. But Scooter, when you have a player like that, you kind of treat him the same way you treat Capella. You know, you don't expect to get anything out of him really on the offensive end.
Yeah.
He does all the tangible things.
Yep.
So you put a bunch of scores around him and let him do his thing.
Yeah, no doubt. Your first thoughts on the Rockets, by the way? We haven't had a chance to talk. Obviously, it's a good young team up and coming. Is this team good enough to be right there with Oklahoma City?
I think they're a step under Oklahoma City, probably even two. They're playing good basketball. I mean, they're playing a lot better than what they did last year. Şengün is looking good, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a player out there on the floor.
Yeah.
Love what Green brings. You know, Jalen Green is a monster out there on the floor, and I like the way Fred is running the club. You know, they got a couple of veterans on the team. You know, like I said, I think they are a good team. They're anywhere from 3 to 6, 3 to 7, easily.
Okay. Is there even one, or is that just a whole one? Got it. Welcome back in the game night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Scott Marshall on with the high flyer, Henry Turner. We're halfway through. We'll take you until 4:30 today. Get you ready for Kings Live pregame. Kings and Grizz tonight in Memphis. Quick back-to-back for Sacramento. They'll take on the Spurs. By the way, Wemby not playing tonight. They have a back-to-back. His back an issue. So maybe the Kings get a break tomorrow night. No Wemby in San Antonio. It doesn't matter. They got to play tonight first.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Has it ever been an easy trek when the Kings run up against an underman team?
No.
I'd rather see the starters out there, Scooter, because I know the Kings are going to bring a better game then.
Put out the 95 Bulls against the Kings. They might play better. Bring out Pippen and Jordan and whomever else you want to on that Rodman or whoever the third person is, Horace Grant. Okay.
It made no difference, did it?
It didn't. All right, let's go around the league. And one thing I want to follow back from Tuesday, obviously, Ime Udoka lost his cool in that game. We know Şengün lost his cool too. He lost his cool to the tune of $50,000 fined by the league for his actions in that game on Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You know, the crazy thing is, Scott, you know, I think about my days being in the NBA and looking at the fines.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our big fines were like $5,000-$7,000.
Yeah.
Those were big fines.
Right.
If you got a $10,000 fine, you did something that was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these guys now, man, $50,000. Now I understand $50,000 to a man that's making
relative.
Yeah, $50,000 for a brother who making $5 million.
Yeah,
you know that's like having $20 out your pocket.
No doubt.
But still, $50,000 is $50,000. I don't care how you slice it.
No doubt. And honestly, when that was all going down, I really thought Ime was going to go after the official.
I mean, right there on the borderline.
It felt hot. It felt like there might be a blow thrown.
I mean, we're almost up to the bottom of the second level, and it got warm in our seats. You could feel it. He was heated.
No doubt. So the $50,000 was for confronting profane language, not leaving the court in a timely manner. Tari Eason got fined $35,000 for tossing a towel, using inappropriate language in the direction of a fan. I'd heard that it happened, but I didn't see it.
That I didn't see either.
Yeah. They were talking about that on the TV, I think on the Rockets side after the game. I didn't see it happen, but yeah, Tari Eason, that did actually happen. $35,000 for him. And Şengün was fined $15,000 after directing inappropriate language at a game official as well. Yeah. There was some serious money left in Sacramento.
I was about to say they trying to hit $100,000 real quick, like.
Yeah.
No way, no. I can't get that up, Scoot. That's too much cheese.
Yeah. The post-game comments from Udoka were not any better. Missed calls, blatant missed calls right in front of you. You're calling ticky-tack, moving screens. We'll leave out next part, but you don't want to call the obvious ones right in front of you. That was it. thought Sengun got fouled a few times on that drive and on the layup, and they don't want to call it. So I told him, and I'll let you be creative with the rest to the official. But
well, you know what, Ime, cry us a river, okay?
Yeah.
Because just 2 games ago, we felt the exact same way when Sabonis got hog-tied by Wemby.
Yep.
No call.
Right.
All right. When De'Aaron went to the baseline, got slapped on his hands for the last second shot.
Yep.
No call.
Yeah.
Hey.
We'll get out those violins.
We understand. You know.
Exactly. Hum me.
Yeah,
Yep.
we all gonna sing this sad, sad song.
No doubt. All right. So we'll move on from that. As I mentioned, Wemby's not playing tonight against the Bulls. It's called bilateral low back soreness. He appeared to be injured in Tuesday's game against Phoenix a little bit. So we'll see. And that's the thing with Wemby, as we were talking about it earlier, as I told you, when I saw him first time, I've seen him in person on Sunday. And the takeaway was when you see him in person, you can understand why the comment, as extreme as it sounds, like he literally could be the best player to ever play when it's all said and done. When you look at the combined all around talents this guy has, but of course he has to do it over a career. And to your point, for somebody who's 7'3" and as slight as he is, being more prone to injury is going to be the toughest thing for him to work throughout a 15, 20-year career.
No doubt. For those big guys who was able to play, 10 years plus was an anomaly. I mean, what Kareem did was kind of like what LeBron is doing now for a big guy. To play all of those years and to be that productive all the way into your last years, that's very hard to do in the NBA.
No doubt. So we will see what that means for him tomorrow night, but there's a good chance maybe the Kings don't have to face Wemby in San Antonio. Speaking of some other injuries, Kevin Durant, who just came back from being out a couple of weeks, goes back out for another week or two. He turned over that left ankle pretty tough the other night. So again, the Suns, some people think they're the best team in the Western Conference when they're fully healthy. I'm not sure I agree with that or not. But again, when you say when fully healthy, this unit just has not been able to stay fully healthy.
And maybe I haven't seen the unit fully healthy, because when I look at Phoenix, it's like, ooh, the best team now? I mean, come on. We got some teams that are really shocking people right now.
Yeah.
Houston's one. They're shocking people. OKC, shocking people. You got Memphis going to be shocking some people. Yeah. And we ain't even talked about Dallas and Denver, the double Ds that have been solid all the way through. Never talked about the Lakers or the Clippers.
Yeah.
But, for them to say they're the best team, they're good, but they ain't the best now.
No doubt. Speaking of the King, LeBron listed as questionable tomorrow night against the Hawks. As we talked about, his goal, as he stated it, was to play all 82 games this year. We'll see if he's able to do that. For the Warriors, no Steph Curry or Draymond Green. They're going to set out against the Rockets tonight in San Francisco.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's going to be real tough. Rockets catching a major break tonight at the Chase Center. And for the Bucks, some more good news for them. Chris Middleton's coming back versus the Celtics.
Wow. You get reinsurance.
A team that's won 8 of 9.
Hey, that's finally found it and got things clicking. Yeah. Yes, no doubt. Milwaukee might be back in the building.
No doubt. And some people are talking about them being a real threat in the Eastern Conference again. I mean, everybody thought that last year. I don't think anybody feels that way at the moment, but you have to give Doc Rivers some credit because they have turned it around. And some people are saying he's made Giannis a better all-around player, which he's already one of the great players in the league. Jokic might be the best player, but some are saying now Giannis is getting that complete all-around game that he hasn't had since or before Doc Rivers took over.
Well, you know what? I haven't seen Giannis play this year, but I will say this. If he's hitting any type of resemblance of a mid-range to, let's say, 17-foot jump shot, yes, complete guy. I don't ever expect Giannis to come down and just lace him up from 3. But if he can start knocking down and coming off some screens and hitting some jump shots, he probably will be one of the most complete players around because you can't stop him on the fast break. if you don't really get him off of his stride at the free throw line, it's over.
It's outright over.
It's
with
over.
Giannis. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wall has to be thick.
You have to meet him before he hits that free throw line.
Yep.
What I mean is your back legs got to be on the free throw line and stop him before he gets there.
Yep. All right. A scoreboard tonight. Game's just starting to get underway. Denver and Cleveland. That's a good matchup of big men and two really good teams. The Cavs already looking for their 20th win tonight. They're 12-1 at home.
Hooping. So that's what I'm saying. How could Phoenix be one of the best teams, period, in the NBA when you got a team like Cleveland doing what they doing? You know, okay, Boston, give them theirs. They're the champs. They're still playing great basketball. You know what I'm saying? Milwaukee is getting it together. You know, Orlando has surprisingly just kept going and kept winning basketball games. Phoenix can't be up there as the best team in the league. Come on, Scott. That can't happen.
I don't agree with it.
I ain't
either.
even giving that.
I know. I don't agree with it either, but, you know, you hear a lot of people say they think Phoenix is the best team in the West when fully healthy.
Oh, in West. Okay, my bad.
In the West. All right. Now, Mavs are in Washington to take on the Wizards. Some people are saying Kyrie's having his best year so far as a pro.
Balling.
Yeah.
I mean, just so happens. It's contract year.
No coincidence.
At all.
None at all. And speaking of the Wizards, I mean, they're 2-17. They're 1-8 at home. It's as bad as it gets in Washington right now.
Just when you think, Scooter, it can't get any worse, man, you know what? Somebody ring the alarm.
Oh, brutal.
It's going to be a fire sale.
There's no doubt that people are going to be lining up
fire
in
sale.
February, to pick what's coming from Washington.
Hey, if anything is left after it done burned out, somebody's going to go get it.
No question. All right, Hornets and Knicks tonight. The Knicks are 7-2 inside Madison Square Garden. Thunder and Raptors. You got OKC leading the Western Conference. Suns and Pelicans tonight. Well, we know the Suns are without Durant. The Pelicans are virtually without everybody. They're 4-18.
So they the West Coast Wizards, huh?
They really are, except they're a talented team that just has been ravished by injury.
Right.
And they've become the Grizz of this year.
Right. You know, a good basketball team that injuries have gotten them off their kilter. And, you know, honestly, Scott, that can just like be devastating to a team.
No doubt. And we'll see if they're fire selling as well. I mean, they went and got DeJounte Murray. They still have Brandon Ingram. Of course, the whole thing with Zion Williamson. Who knows?
I don't think that they're going to just blow everything up. Some guys might be up for question. The big one's going to be, are they still going to be willing to keep Zion around?
Exactly. That's the major question.
He's going to be the big one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Bulls and Spurs tonight. Of course, Sacramento and San Antonio tomorrow night. And the Rockets and the Warriors. That's the big matchup in the Bay tonight. When we come back, we're going to focus in Kings and Grizz. Always love the matchup. Fox and Morant, two of the premier point guards in the league, getting after it in Memphis. Game night being brought to you by the law firm of Gingery Hammer and Associates. If you have an injury, just call Gingery. We will have the Gingery injury report coming up after the break as well. It's game night right here. Sacktown Sports, 1140.
All right, we are back live on YouTube.
See, you are a pro now.
Yeah, I've got it all down. I think I could do this forever.
You're even getting compliments in the chat room.
Really?
Now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you call him a pro now?
Now.
Well, you were a pro before. I
appreciate it, Henry.
That was the wrong terminology.
I didn't even catch that.
He was on with Alan the other day. Did a nice job.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Oh, he did the midday. So yeah.
You moving on up.
Kyle again.
You getting there? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Does a great job. So, all right. Let's see here. What else do we have in the chat room? Phoenix is the most expensive team in the league, not the best team.
We'll give them that.
Yeah, that's probably true.
They're one of them, no doubt.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. What's on your mind, Anthony?
Right now, I was thinking about how Phoenix was the most expensive team after I read that comment.
Yep.
And it is kind of crazy how they've just gone from what they were when they were in that championship team to where they are now. The whole Chris Paul thing, DeAndre Ayton getting out of that situation. I've just been Phoenix has been on my mind.
They blew it up. I mean, they moved obviously Cam Thomas. They moved Cam Johnson. I mean, they gave up all their depth to go after Durant. Are they a better team than what they were before?
Definitely not.
Mm-mm.
They haven't made it to the finals.
Yeah, I know some people think they are. I agree with you. I don't think they are either.
I think they were a lot better team when they had Miles. When they had Bridges,
right?
And they had both
Mikal Bridges,
both the Cams on the squad.
Exactly.
They were deep back then.
They were
much better basketball team.
Yeah, they sold it all off to go for the big three. And right now the big three, sometimes the big two, sometimes it's the big one. Now they did make a great move, at the point in the offseason. That was great.
Now, let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
A lot of teams don't even have this type of a problem, but when you have a basketball team and you have a chance to get a once in a generational player such as a Kevin Durant, do you empty your roster if you have a chance to get this guy?
A lot of teams have.
Because Phoenix had some good players.
Sure.
They had some very usable players.
Yeah.
But they emptied everything to get this once in a generational basketball player.
Yeah.
Would you do it?
I would not have. Obviously, in Golden State, when you brought him in with Curry and Draymond and Clay, I mean, it was incredible. But it hasn't worked. It didn't work in New Jersey. It hasn't worked in Phoenix yet. He's aging. Not that his career is over, but I would not have done that. I like their roster better 1 through 10 than I do right now.
Okay.
But Tyus Jones was a great sign.
Right. No, but I'm just saying though.
Yeah.
Usually when you can get, when you throw players out like, okay, I can get a Tracy McGrady or, I could have got a Jason Kidd or we could have traded for, Phoenix Suns Shaquille O'Neal, other than, the Boston Celtics Shaquille, Shaq that was still able to just dominate whenever he wants. Yeah. Do you make that trade? Do you clean your roster for those guys?
Yeah, I wouldn't personally. Joy out there wants to know what's ROI. We're talking return on investment. That's ROI, a little business term.
Return on investment.
Yes, exactly. All right, we're about to go back. Welcome back to the game night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Final segment here. Scott Marshall up with the High Flyer head returner. It's time now to get you to that injury report brought to you by the law firm of Gingery Hammer and Associates. If you got an injury, just call Gingery. For the Kings tonight, as we look at their injury reports for tonight's game, they're looking pretty good. Just Trey Lyles, of course, who's going to be out for a little bit. It's the only one who is being reported as out. For the Grizz, unfortunately, we're not going to see the big man tonight. No Zach Edey out with the ankle. G.G. Jackson, we talked about, has been out with that foot.
Right.
And no Vince Williams Jr., who's also out with the ankle. That's your injury report for tonight. But let's look at the Grizz. As you break them down, they've been an offensive juggernaut. They're number one in the NBA in assists. They're averaging 33 assists per game.
Sharing the ball.
30 is the gold standard.
Right.
If you get to that, you're usually
Right.
feeling that's a great night. Well, they're doing it on a consistent basis. They're number two in scoring, 125.2 points per game, fourth in point differential, plus 8.1, fourth in field goal percentage, 50.4, and an offensive rating of 116.3.
Hey, that goes to show why they are where they are. They're a good basketball team. I mean, well-rounded. They got inside and out. You know, they got big men that could block shots. They got guys that are long and lean, get steals. They can do a little bit of it all, Scott.
They really can. The one thing they're not doing very well is shooting the three-point shot. They're just 34.8%. That's 19th in the league. So they're bucking that trend a little bit. But they're seventh in opponent field goal percentage right now, 44%, actually number 4, 7 and 3-point field goal percentage. So the defensive rating is fairly good, and that's making up for it. But I mean, Memphis right now is kind of a throwback team in the sense that they're not a great 3-point shooting team, but they're right there atop the conference.
Well, Scooter, we talked about this last week. If you're not going to be a great 3-point shooting team, you just have to do everything else good. And you're still able to be a good basketball squad, right?
Yeah, they are. All right, let's focus in on Fox and Morant. I mean, this has kind of always been one of these marquee matchups. You look at it right now. Fox is 8th in the NBA in scoring, 27.2 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, nearly 2 assists a night, shooting 49% from the field. John Morant, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 8.5 assists, a steal, 47% field, under 30% from 3-point range. So against the Kings, career-wise, 21 points, 6.5 assists, 4 rebounds. So his numbers are pretty consistent with what he does against the Kings versus what he does in his career. It feels to me like some of De'Aaron's best games have come against the Grizz.
Yeah, he's had some very solid play against those guys. But then once again, you know, we talked about it a couple of years ago. The Grizz was in the number 2 spot, trying to make that number 1 spot. So the Kings brought their A game. You know, okay, last year they struggled because of injury, but it was still the threat of, because I think, didn't Ja come back and play against us?
He did.
It was still the threat of, you still got those guys out there on the floor. So whenever the Kings are looking at, you know, one of those rosters that have, you know, those big 3, maybe 4, they always come out and play their best games.
They do. And of course, with the Grizz, and you're talking about Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr., who is a terrific low post player, and also with Desmond Bane, who really has become one of the best 2s in the league.
You know, I like Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane is the West Coast Brunson. He is the West Coast Brunson, a little short guard that has so much heart and so much game that
so
he can,
physical.
I mean, just plays hard. He's tough, and he's going to get up into you on the defensive end, and he's going to be able to knock down that 3. I like the way, I mean, just the poster boy for any young player that want to play in the NBA.
I agree. He plays the right way. And Brandon Clark is back. Of course, he was another guy who wasn't healthy. You've got Marcus Smart coming off the bench.
Heady veteran.
He's healthy as well. Luke Kennard's a guy who can shoot threes
Knock
when he
it
comes
down.
off. And, of course,
they got a sniper.
And they've got the junior, Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yep.
So it's a well-rounded lineup. Kings obviously will have to play well. We've just got a moment left. What are you looking for tonight as the Kings take on a good Memphis team on the road?
Scooter, if they can reduplicate the energy, the effort, the style, the pace of the game that they played against Houston, I'm with it, and I'm feeling good again about this basketball team. You know, winning that game against Houston made me feel better. I'm not warm and fuzzy, but I do feel better. Yeah. If they can come out and duplicate that game against Memphis, whether win or lose, but duplicate that game, then I'm going to be like, okay, I'm back with y'all Kings. We can get this done. Just make a couple of tweaks, a little, you know, some mishaps here. We could be right where we want to be.
All right. I love it. That's going to do it for Game Night. High Flyer. Always great to work with you. Have a great call tonight. All right. Game Night brought to you by the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento. Become a volunteer mentor today. Give them a call, 916-646-9300, or go to bbbs-sac.org to learn more. Coming up next, Kings Live pregame. It's Kings and the Grizz. Keep it tuned here all evening long. Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Domantas Sabonis plays here.
He finds Sabonis. Put the frosting on the cake. Put the cherry on the sundae. Sabonis with a 2-hand flush. Makes it 114.